The Discovery, 770 words, the Galactic Council's most advanced scout ship. Voidwalker drifted silently through the outer rim of an unexplored solar system. Commander Rax studied the readings on his screen with growing confusion. The third planet, from the star, showed signs of civilization, but the technology signatures made no sense. "Sir, the energy readings are impossible," reported Lieutenant Vera from her station. "The planet shows primitive combustion engines alongside what appears to be quantum manipulation technology." In his 40 years of service across the galaxy, he had never encountered such contradictory data. Every species followed predictable technological development paths. You started with fire, moved to steam, then electricity, nuclear power, and finally achieved faster than light travel. It was the natural order that every civilization in the Galactic Empire had followed. "Run the scans again," he ordered. Second scan confirmed the first. The planet's inhabitants possessed technology that should have been impossible for their development level. They had primitive projectile weapons existing alongside energy shields that could rival the Empire's own defensive systems. Their computational networks were somehow both digital and quantum simultaneously. "This doesn't make sense," Vera muttered. "How can they have gravity manipulation technology but still use chemical rockets?" Science Officer Tana looked up from his analysis station. "Sir, I'm detecting something else." They appeared to have developed multiple technological paths simultaneously. Instead of following one progression, they pursued dozens of different approaches to the same problems. Rack stood and walked to the main viewing screen. The blue-green planet rotated slowly below them, looking deceptively peaceful. "What kind of species develops technology this way?" "Unknown, sir. But there's more. Their military technology is particularly concerning. They've created weapons that combine multiple energy types in ways that should cancel each other out. Yet somehow they work." The commander felt a chill run down his spine. The Galactic Empire had conquered thousands of worlds by understanding each species' technological limitations. They could predict exactly what defenses a civilization would have, based on their development level. But this planet broke all the rules. "Sir, incoming transmission from Empire Command," announced Communications Officer Dex. The holographic image of Admiral Kron materialized in the center of the bridge. His 3 eyes narrowed as he spoke. "Commander Rax, report your findings immediately." "Admiral, we've discovered a species that appears to have developed impossible technology. Their advancement patterns don't match any known civilization." Kron's expression darkened. "Impossible technology? Explain." Rax gestured to the data displays around him. "They possess both primitive and advanced systems simultaneously. Energy manipulation that rivals our own, yet they still use ballistic weapons, quantum computing alongside mechanical systems. It's as if they refuse to abandon old technologies when they discover new ones. That's inefficient, wasteful. No logical species would maintain obsolete technology." "That's just it, sir. They don't seem to consider any technology obsolete. They improve everything in parallel. Their spacecraft use chemical propulsion, ion drives, and what we can only identify as space folding technology all in the same vessel." Admiral Kron was silent for a long moment. Such a species would be unpredictable in warfare. "We couldn't anticipate their capabilities or limitations because they appear to have none." "There's something else, sir. We detected several destroyed ships in orbit. The weapon signatures don't match anything in our databases. It's as if they tested dozens of different weapon concepts against these targets." "They experiment with their warfare technology?" "Constantly, from what we can determine. They seem to treat military technology like a puzzle to be solved rather than a tool to be perfected." Kron's image flickered as he processed this information. The Empire's strength came from its ability to categorize and counter every known technology. A species that used everything simultaneously would be like fighting shadows. "Commander, maintain distance and continue observations." "Under no circumstances are you to make contact." Calling an emergency session of the High Command." As the transmission ended, Rax looked back at the planet below. Somewhere down there lived a species that had broken every rule of technological development. They were primitive enough that the Empire should have been able to conquer them easily, yet advanced enough to pose a genuine threat. Sir, Vera said quietly, what do we call them in our reports? Rax studied the swirling clouds of the planets. Atmosphere. Call them what they are. Humans. And note in the file that they represent an unknown threat level. For the first time in the Empire's history, they had encountered a species they couldn't categorize. That fact alone was terrifying enough to shake the foundations of their galactic dominance. The test, 770 words. 3 weeks after the initial discovery, Admiral Kron stood before the High Command Council in the Empire's capital world, the Chamber. Held representatives from 12 different species, each one having joined the Empire after demonstrating their technological limitations. The situation is unprecedented, Kron began, activating the holographic display. This species, these humans, possess technology that defies our understanding of development patterns. Council Prime Zek leaned forward with interest. Show us their capabilities. The display showed images captured by the scout ship. Human vehicles that combined wheels, hover technology, and teleportation systems. Buildings that used both steel. Frameworks and energy-based construction. Weapons that fired projectiles, energy beams, and dimensional tiers from the same barrel. This is impossible, declared Council Member Yo. No species maintains multiple technological paths. It's inefficient. Yet they do, Kron replied. Our analysis suggests they view technology as additive rather than replacement-based. When they discover something new, they integrate it with everything they already know. Council Prime Zek's expression grew serious. What are their weaknesses? That's the problem. We can't identify any consistent weaknesses because they don't follow consistent patterns. A human warrior might carry a metal sword enhanced with energy fields, armor that's both physical and energy-based, and weapons that combine every known damage type. The council chamber fell silent. For generations, the Empire had expanded by identifying each species' technological ceiling and exploiting their limitations. Every civilization had clear boundaries to their capabilities. We need to test them, announced Council Member Rex. Send a probe ship. Something small enough to avoid detection, but advanced enough to gauge their response capabilities. Kron nodded. I've prepared a stealth reconnaissance vessel. It will enter their system and perform subtle scans to determine their detection, capabilities, and response protocols. The probe ship Shadow Dancer launched 2 days later. Captain Nix commanded a crew of the Empire's best stealth specialists. Their mission was simple: get close enough to Earth to determine how humans would respond to an unknown vessel. Approaching the outer system, reported Navigator Jin. All stealth systems active. The ship slipped past the humans' outer monitoring. Stations undetected. Too easy, Nix thought. Any civilized species should have detected them by now. Sir, I'm picking up something strange, called Sensor Operator Mal. There are objects throughout this system that aren't showing up on our scans properly. What kind of objects? Unknown. They're there, but our sensors can't lock onto them. It's like they're using some kind of detection-resistant technology. Nix frowned. That's impossible. Our sensors can detect anything with mass or energy signature. Suddenly, the ship shuddered. Warning lights flashed across all stations. We're being scanned, Mal reported, his voice tight with concern. Multiple sources. Technologies I don't recognize. How can they scan us through our stealth field? Unknown, sir. But they're using at least 6 different scanning methods simultaneously. Some of them are technologies not in our databases. The main screen flickered and displayed an image that made Nix's blood run cold. A human space station, clearly visible now, bristling with weapons and sensors that seemed to shift and change even as they watched. Sir, incoming transmission. They're speaking to us in our own language. A human face appeared on the screen. Male, with dark hair and calm eyes that seemed far too knowing. Greetings, visitors from the Galactic Empire. I am Commander Davis of Chair Station 7. We've been monitoring your approach for the past 6 hours. Nick struggled to find his voice. That's impossible. Our stealth technology is effective against conventional detection methods, yes. But we don't limit ourselves to conventional approaches. We've been expecting contact with your empire for some time now. Expecting? Davis smiled. We've been monitoring your communications for decades. Your technology is impressive, but it follows predictable patterns. We've had time to prepare. Prepare for what? For this conversation. You came here to test our capabilities, to determine if we pose a threat to your empire. Davis's expression grew serious. The answer is yes, we do, but not in the way you might expect. The transmission ended abruptly. Nix looked around his bridge at the confused faces of his crew. Sir, they're not attacking, reported Mal. But I'm detecting massive energy buildups throughout their system. It's like the entire solar system is one big weapon. Get us out of here. Maximum speed. As the Shadow Dancer fled toward the edge of the system, Nix realized they had learned something terrifying. The humans hadn't just detected them despite their stealth technology. They had been watching the Empire for decades, learning and preparing. Worse yet, they had let the probe ship discover them deliberately. This wasn't a test of human capabilities, it was a message. The revelation, 770 words. The emergency session of the High Command convened within hours of the probe ship's return. Captain Nix stood before the council, still shaken by his encounter. They knew we were coming, he reported. Not just detected us, they expected us. They've been studying our empire for decades. Council Prime Zek's 3 eyes narrowed. That's impossible. We've had no contact with their system. Sir, they intercepted our long-range communications. Their technology allows them to decode and understand transmissions across interstellar distances. They know our capabilities, our expansion patterns, our standard procedures. Admiral Kron activated a tactical display. Show them the recordings. The holographic replay showed Terra Station 7 in detail. The structure defied everything the Empire knew about space construction. It combined multiple architectural approaches, sections that were clearly metal fabrication, others that appeared to be grown rather than built, and areas that seemed to exist in folded space. How is this possible? Demanded Council Member Yule. No single species can master so many different construction methods. That's what makes them dangerous, Kron replied. They don't limit themselves to a single approach for anything. Where we perfect one method, they develop dozens simultaneously. Dr. Zara, the Empire's chief xenotechnologist, stepped forward. I've analyzed all available data on human technology. Their development pattern is unlike anything we've encountered. Most species abandon primitive technologies as they advance. Humans integrate everything. The display showed examples. Human soldiers carrying projectile weapons enhanced with energy fields. Vehicles that use wheels, repulsors, and teleportation. Simultaneously, computers that were mechanical, electronic, quantum, and biological all at once. They treat technology like ingredients in a recipe, Dr. Zara continued. They combine everything they've ever learned into new solutions. It makes them unpredictable and dangerous. Council Prime Zek stood slowly. What are you saying? That they're more advanced than us? No, sir. In many individual areas, we're superior. But they're more adaptable. When they encounter a problem, they don't just find one solution. They find every possible solution and use them all. Admiral Kron nodded grimly. This explains why their probe detection succeeded against our stealth technology. They weren't using one scanning method. They were using every scanning method they'd ever developed. Which means, Council Member Rex said slowly, they've probably prepared for every method of attack we might use. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The Empire's standard conquest procedure involved overwhelming technological superiority. They would analyze a species' capabilities, then deploy countermeasures that the target couldn't possibly overcome. But humans didn't have consistent capabilities to counter. They had everything. There's more, Captain Nick said reluctantly. During our brief communication, their commander indicated they consider our expansion into their region of space to be inevitable. They're not surprised by our presence. They're prepared for it. Prepared how? Unknown, sir. But the energy readings from their solar system suggest they've turned the entire region into some kind of defensive network. Not just their planets. The space between them, the asteroids, even their star shows signs of technological modification. Dr. Zara brought up another display. We've detected similar energy signatures in neighboring systems. It appears humans have been expanding their presence far beyond their homeworld, but not through conquest. Then how? They seem to form partnerships, trade relationships. They share their hybrid technologies with other species and integrate those species' innovations into their own systems. Council Prime's expression darkened. They're building alliances. More than that, Admiral Kron said. They're creating a network of species that all benefit from human technological adaptability. Every world they contact becomes stronger and more unpredictable. The strategic implications were staggering. The Empire succeeded by keeping conquered species separate and dependent. Humans were doing the opposite, creating interconnected systems, where each species contributed their best innovations to the whole. What are our options? ASCII Council Member Rex. Admiral Kron looked around the chamber. We have 3 choices. We can attempt to conquer them immediately, before they become stronger. We can try to establish diplomatic relations and assess them as potential allies rather than subjects. Or we can withdraw and avoid contact entirely. And your recommendation? Kron was quiet for a long moment. Honestly, I am not sure any of those options will work. Immediate attack might fail because we don't understand their full capabilities. Diplomacy might fail because they already know too much about us. And withdrawal might fail because they're expanding toward us anyway. Council Prime Zek stood. Then we need more information. Dr. Zara, I want a full analysis of every piece of human technology we've observed. Admiral Kron, prepare contingency plans for all 3 scenarios. As the council session ended, none of them spoke the thought that haunted every mind in the chamber. For the first time in the Empire's history, they had encountered a species that might actually be superior to them, not because humans were more advanced, but because they refused to accept limitations. The choice, 770 words. 6 months passed as the Empire struggled with their human problem. Dr. Zara's research team worked around the clock, analyzing every scrap of data about human technology. Their findings painted and increasingly disturbing. Picture. They've solved the energy-matter conversion problem, Dr. Zara reported to the High Command. Not just one solution. 7 different approaches, all working simultaneously in their systems. Council Prime Zek studied the technical readouts. 7 solutions to the same problem? That's wasteful. That's what we thought initially. But it's not wasteful, it's redundant. If one system fails, 6 others continue operating. If an enemy develops a counter to one approach, the other 6 remain effective. Admiral Kron nodded grimly. It explains why their defenses are so difficult to analyze. Every time we think we understand their capabilities, we discover additional layers we hadn't detected. The holographic display showed the latest reconnaissance data. Human technology had evolved even in the short time they'd been observing. New ships appeared regularly, each one incorporating innovations that defied classification. They're not just maintaining multiple technological paths, Dr. Zara continued. They're actively developing new ones. Their innovation rate is accelerating. How is that possible? Demanded Council Member Yill. Innovation should slow as technology becomes more complex. Not if you're willing to experiment with failure. Humans appear to treat failed experiments as learning opportunities rather than setbacks. They've developed technologies by combining methods that should cancel each other out. Council Member Rex leaned forward. Give us an example. Their latest ships use propulsion systems that combine chemical rockets, ion drives, gravity manipulation, space folding, and something we can only call reality pushing. Each method should interfere with the others. Instead, they found ways to make them work together. The chamber fell silent. Reality pushing wasn't even theoretical for most Empire species. Humans were apparently making it practical. "Sir," Admiral Kron said quietly, "we've received another communication from the humans." "Show it." The holographic display shifted to show Commander Davis again. This time, he was standing on what appeared to be the bridge of a ship that defied every principle of spacecraft design. "Greetings, members of the Galactic Empire High Command. I know you're watching and listening, so I'll be direct. We're aware of your deliberations regarding contact with humanity." Council Prime Zek's three eyes widened. "How can they know about our classified sessions?" Davis continued as if he'd heard the question. "Your communication security is excellent by conventional standards. But we don't limit ourselves to conventional approaches. We've been monitoring your discussions because we need to make you an offer." "An offer?" Kron muttered. "The Empire has two options. You can continue trying to determine if you can conquer US, or you can join us in something bigger than either our civilizations has imagined." The image changed to show a star map. Systems throughout the galaxy were highlighted in blue, far more systems than the Empire controlled. "These are species. We've made contact with in the past 50 years. Not conquered, partnered with. Each one brings unique innovations that benefit everyone in the network." Council member Rex stood. "What kind of network?" "A collaborative civilization. Each species contributes their best ideas, and everyone receives access to combined innovations. Technology develops faster when you have hundreds of different approaches to every problem." Dr. Zara whispered, "That's how they innovate so quickly. They're not just one species developing technology. They're dozens of species working together." Davis nodded as if he could hear her. "Dr. Zara is correct. Human adaptability works best when we have diverse innovations to adapt. We provide integration capabilities. Others provide specialized knowledge. What about territories, resources?" "Control?" demanded Council Prime Zek. "Those are scarcity-based concerns. When every species in the network has access to matter conversion, energy manipulation, and space-folding technology, traditional resource conflicts become irrelevant." Admiral Kron stood slowly. "You're offering to make us equals in this network? We're offering to make you partners. Your empire has impressive organizational abilities and military technologies that would benefit everyone. In return, you'd have access to innovations from hundreds of species." The transmission paused, letting them consider the implications. "What if we refuse?" asked Council Member Yo Davis's expression grew serious. "Then you continue as you are. But understand, every species in our network becomes stronger over time. Every year you delay joining us, the gap between our capabilities grows wider. And if we attempt conquest, then you discover that fighting dozens of species with integrated technologies is very different from conquering individual worlds with predictable capabilities." The transmission ended, leaving the High Command in stunned silence. Council Prime Zek looked around the chamber. "They're not threatening us. They're offering us partnership or relevance." "And they're probably right," Admiral Kron said quietly. "We can't compete with accelerating innovation from multiple species." For the first time in Empire history, they faced a choice that would determine not just their expansion, but their survival. The future, 770 words, the final High Command session, lasted 18 hours. When it ended, Council Prime Zek transmitted the Empire's decision to Commander Davis. "We accept your offer of partnership," Zek announced formally. "The Galactic Empire requests entry into your collaborative network." Davis smiled. "Welcome to the cooperative. Your first integration session begins tomorrow." The transition shocked everyone involved. Instead of conquest or subjugation, humans approached Empire integration like solving an engineering problem. They identified what the Empire did well, then found ways to combine those strengths with existing network capabilities. "Admiral," Kron found himself working with human engineers and dozens of other species to redesign military technology. Instead of weapons designed to overwhelm specific defenses, they developed adaptive systems that could modify themselves during combat. "This is incredible," he told his new human colleague, engineer Maria. "Your approach to military technology is completely different from ours." Maria nodded. "We don't design weapons to fight specific enemies. We design systems that can learn and adapt to any threat. When you combine that with Empire organizational efficiency and Takari energy manipulation, you get something none of us could create alone." Dr. Zara's experience proved even more transformative. Working with the Cooperative's research network, she discovered that human impossible technology wasn't impossible at all. It was just integrated differently. "They don't see technology as separate categories," she explained to her former colleagues. "To humans, everything is part of one big system. Physics, chemistry, biology, mathematics, they use it all together." Council member Rex, now serving as the Empire's liaison to the Cooperative, watched in amazement as their first joint project took shape. A space station that combined Empire organizational structure, human adaptability, variant biological systems, and Nexari dimensional manipulation. "How long would it have taken us to develop this alone?" he asked Davis. "He probably never would have. Neither would we." Some innovations only emerge when different approaches combine in unexpected ways. The results spoke for themselves. Within 1 year of joining the Cooperative, former Empire worlds experienced technological advances that would have taken decades to achieve independently. Food production increased dramatically. Transportation became faster and more efficient. Communication networks expanded across entire sectors, but the most profound change was philosophical. Empire species accustomed to hierarchical control discovered the benefits of collaborative development. Humans, meanwhile, gained access to organizational structures that helped them manage their rapid innovation. "We're not the same empire we were," Council Prime Zek observed during a progress review. "We're something new." "That's the point," Davis replied. "Every species in the Cooperative becomes something new. You keep what makes you unique, but you gain capabilities you never had before." The transformation accelerated as more species joined the network. Each new member brought different innovations and perspectives. The Cooperative grew from dozens of species to hundreds, then thousands. Within 5 years, the collaborative network spanned half the galaxy. Traditional territorial boundaries became meaningless when any species could access the same advanced technologies and resources. Admiral Kron, now commanding ships that combine technologies from 30 different species, reflected on how much had changed. "We thought humans were our enemy because we couldn't understand their technology. Turns out they were showing us the future." Dr. Zara, working on research projects that involved contributions from hundreds of species, agreed. "Humans weren't superior to us. They were just thinking differently. They showed us that technology doesn't have to follow predictable paths." The former Empire worlds flourished in ways none of them had imagined. Instead of extracting resources from conquered planets, they developed systems where every world contributed to and benefited from shared innovations. But perhaps the most significant change was in how they viewed other species. Instead of potential subjects to be conquered, every new contact represented potential partners with valuable innovations to contribute. "The humans taught us something important," Council Prime Zek announced during a cooperative assembly. "Diversity isn't just tolerable, it's essential. Innovation requires different ways of thinking." Commander Davis, now one of many human representatives in the expanding cooperative, smiled as he watched the assembly. Representatives from thousands of species worked together on challenges that no single civilization could solve alone. "This is what we hoped for," he told Maria. "Not human dominance, but collaborative growth." "Are you satisfied with how it turned out?" Davis looked at the holographic displays showing cooperative worlds throughout the galaxy. Each one unique, each one contributing to something larger than themselves. The Empire was terrified of our technology because they thought it couldn't be human. They were right, it wasn't just human. It was the result of every species we'd ever learned from working together. And now we're all part of something that's bigger than any of us imagined. That's the real human technology, not the machines we build, but the cooperation that makes building them possible. The future belonged not to any single species, but to all of them working together. Asterisk.